Thank you. Thank you. Also adding my thanks to Dana's for bringing us together, for engaging your network, and for really beginning this partnership that builds on everything that Be Strong Families is and has been doing for a long, long time. So we're just so privileged to be here and to share with you. And like you said earlier, to lock arms together, to elevate this vision, to build this parent nation together. So what I want to do in the very short time that I have is just walk you through what the campaign looks like and ways in which we are going to be spreading the word and engaging many of you, and more importantly, activating parents on the ground. So I'll do a quick walkthrough, and then I know we want to get into a panel discussion. So building off of the closing that Dana just gave, our focus in terms of our strategies in the campaign is to achieve these three F's that are on your screen: to foster community, to forge collective identity, and to fight for change. And we really worked very hard since last year trying to develop the tools, the strategies that would get us to these three ambitious goals and desired outcomes. So I'm going to walk you through, if we go into the next slide, what the campaign looks like. So, obviously you now know about the book. We're excited that you all will get the book for free and will get to your location by the time we begin the publicity. The book is out on April 26th of this year. And then what you'll see is a lot of book publicity. We're working with this amazing social impact firm called Matter Unlimited that will be working with the publisher and developing lots of ways to create a campaign around the book. That's number two. That's the digital impact effort. So it's a public media campaign. You'll be seeing us on social media and hopefully on airwaves and in newspapers through op-eds. We're really going to be pushing the message out in April once we launch. And so we can't wait for you to hear about it and be part of it and help us amplify the message as it begins to hit the airwaves. More specifically, and where I'm going to spend a little bit more time with you right now, is our on-the-ground activation effort. And what makes this presentation about this effort so special is that a number of leaders from Be Strong Families have helped us develop the tools and are helping us develop the tools for this on-the-ground activation effort. So those are the three main campaign components. If we go to the next slide, you'll see some of those on-the-ground activation efforts. And then I'll zero in on the third one, which is the Parent Village curriculum. So one way that we'll get the word out and activate parents and allies is through an action guide that will be at the back of the book. It'll also live on our website. And it's all the ways that people can get involved to push this message, to fight for change, to create the parent nation that we want. There's also an exciting book discussion guide. So for those of you that are involved in book circles or book clubs, there's a great guide that will be made available and downloadable. It'll all be on our website once our website is up. And we hope to see book clubs across the country engaging around the book Parent Nation. There's a much more intense set of tools and resources that we've been developing. Again, the Parent Village curriculum that I'll talk about in a moment. And this is really where we will activate parents on the ground. And then finally, we'll have social media parent groups that can get involved. All right, let me dig into the parent villages. So if we go forward. So we have developed ways in which we can bring parents together at the local level through this idea of what we call parent villages. We've developed a 4-session curriculum, 90 minutes each, and this is what we have been beta testing and where Be Strong Families has been incredibly valuable and helpful in giving us feedback. The sessions are intended to be very interactive and engaging. We also have developed them in a way that they're flexible and modular. And what that means is there are 4 sessions. Maybe you really like only 2 of the sessions because you may already be doing something similar in your work. with the other sessions? Well, you can take session 2, session 4, and embed it into your curriculum if you already have one. Or you could do a supplemental engagement of parents and do all 4. So in these ways, we wanted it to be very flexible and allow the user, the person using the material, to decide how best to use them. We've also developed a toolkit for the curriculum so that anybody who wishes to host a parent village has everything that he or she needs. It's a scripted curriculum. It's got all the materials. It's available in English and Spanish. And as Be Strong Family knows, we've also developed it to be delivered virtually, because that's how we are coming together these days. So you can access it either for in-person or for virtual. It will be completely free for any organization, and you can add your own logo to it so that folks recognize where this is coming from through a trusted friend, a trusted organization. So we'll be with you in promoting it if you wanted to add your logo. So that's very high level. Let me now just take you very quickly through the 4 sessions so you know what's in this curriculum. What is it about? So let's go to session 1. Before we get to session 1, let me tell you what we hope to accomplish with the parent villages. And it's very similar to what you heard Dana talk about. So first and foremost, we take parents through an experience through these sessions where they will begin to raise and elevate their expectations of society. And I won't repeat it, but it's all the reasons that Dana just shared about why we absolutely need to be ourselves expecting more from society rather than believing that we have to go at it alone. We also know that we can come together more powerfully when we create a collective identity, because all parents love their children and all parents need support. So we have so much more in common than not that we need to bring all of that together to form this collective identity in a way that helps us win this fight. And then finally, we hope that the curriculum, by the end of the experience, the end of that journey, will inspire members to build a parent nation. All right, now let's go to the sessions. So in session 1, parents really will begin to form themselves as a group. So there's great discussion in the beginning, and the discussion is really around a set of principles that we have developed that are based on a set of beliefs that all parents have inner wisdom. You won't see them all here. That all parents deserve choice, that we need to embrace equity. There are 6 of these primary founding principles. The parents in the group will have an opportunity to reflect on these principles, to share their own experience behind them. Behind each of these cards that each of the parents will have, there's a prompt that gives them more to engage in a very dynamic conversation. There's also in session 1 an opportunity to learn about the rest of the sessions and to begin to think about what they want in their own ideal society that would be a parent nation. And we come back to that in the last session. So we begin to form community in session 1. In session 2, next slide. In session 2, this is where we begin a conversation around collective identity and around elevating expectations. In this session, parents will begin to understand the challenges they and their fellow village members face, the gaps in the systems, which we don't need to say to parents what the gaps are. They know more than anybody else. But they begin to use this tool, which we call the Big Shift tool, to post on one side or the other of the balance where currently their needs get met. So they identify 3 or 4 high priority needs, and they tell us where, they put their little sticky on one side or the other, who is meeting that need in their current reality. And then they do this again And this time it's in their ideal reality, in their ideal parent nation. Where would those needs land? And if you go to the next slide, you'll see what we're getting from many of the focus groups that we've been doing. So parents are shouldering, as we know, the responsibility heavily, and not as much on the institutions in their lived reality. And when we ask parents for their ideal society, you see, they begin to see that shift. What is so powerful in this session is the conversation. And it's the conversation that leads not, I want somebody else to do all of this for me. It's because parents recognize they need time with their children. It's those three things that Dana talked about. They need the opportunity to be there, shape their babies' brains, to take care of them and not be saddled with worry and stress and figuring out who can take care of children while they get a job or they go to work. All of that is really the part of this discussion, and helping parents begin to see that it doesn't have to be this way, that we can create a very different society. All right, let's go to session 3, and then we'll quickly go to 4 and I'll wrap up. In session 3, parents begin to identify and explore their own strengths, their own gifts, and their own talents by going through this activity, which we call the Changemaker activity. And they also have an opportunity to go and do some speed dating during this time, and learn from each other the kinds of roles that they can play. And I know we're going to hear from some of the panel their experience with this particular activity, but parents begin to see that in big ways or small ways, even if many parents have so much on their shoulder, their bandwidth is very narrow, but there are little things that they can do and they want to do. And they begin to understand that when they go through this activity and begin to see that the little things add up to big things and when we want to create change. And then in session 4, you'll see, I hope you're picking up that this is all very activity-based, very fun, very engaging, in a way that really allows parents to go deep, but in a fun and an interactive way. So session 4 is the last one. And it's in this session that we play the Parrot Nation Bingo. And we use the bingo to help lift up historical efforts, bright spots of change makers, key topics that really are serious and consequential about the well-being of children, moments in time when we thought we were going to get pretty far in a nation that supported families and then scaled back. This begins to help parents see that there's a lot in our history. There are a lot of organizations working for change, and that if we just come together, all of that could add up to much more than what we have today. And then this bingo game leads to parents beginning to think about, what do they want to do in their community? Who do they want to connect with to begin fighting for change? We connect them with organizations across the country or in their community that they may or may not know about to begin to fight for change. And it's also at the end of this session that parents share their ideal parent nation with each other. And it's that we're going to capture and elevate that voice as we collect from parents going through parent villages across the country. We'll begin to amplify what parents across the country are saying about their ideal parent nation and why this is worth this fight. So that's the end of the 4 sessions. I'm much more interested in hearing the conversation, especially about the experience that Be Strong Families parents had in going through this. We're continuing to tweak and improve it based on the feedback. Thank you for going to that last slide. This is just a screenshot of the parents that participated in the beta test session with us this past December. And what I love about this is that you could see the faces of parents that are engaging, that are enjoying, and that are deeply learning how they can be change makers on behalf of a parent nation. And I think maybe there's one more slide, and these are just more parents that have been testing. This was a group in Baltimore at the Parents as Teachers Conference. And really, as I wrap up to these 2 slides with these photos, I hope will convey to you that everything that we're doing is based on parent input, parent insight, and parent wisdom. So I'll come back at the end and talk about a call to action, but this is the work we're excited about, and we hope that we can share it with all of you and have you host parent villages across the country.